All right, so hello and welcome to the continued coverage of the walkthrough series. And in this episode, we're looking at 9618 variant 41 of May-June 2021. And we are doing question 2. Okay, so let's look at what we have here. So it says here that a program stores the following 10 integers in a 1D array with the identifier array data. Then we are given the array data. Then part A says here that write program code for a new program to declare the global 1D array called array data with 10 elements, then initialize array data in the main program using the data values shown. So let's go ahead and look at the implementation that I have going on here. So to make this 1D array global, we are declaring a list on line number 3 there. Then we are multiplying the list by 10 so that we initialize an array of size element of size 10 rather. That's going to take 10 elements as it were. Then we're just putting none inside of the list so that each slot essentially has a null value. Then to initialize the list as it were, we actually need to go inside of the main method. So let me scroll all the way down to the main method, and you see that right there on line 27, I'm now setting array data to that value right there, is it? So maybe what I would have done here in this case was to say global array data, then we can just set array data to these values so that the Python interpreter knows that we are referring to the global variable that we declared on line 3 there. So you can always do that, or just do it the way I initially done it. It would still work. Okay, so moving on to part B, item 1. It says that we have a function called linear search, and it takes an integer as a parameter and performs a linear search on array data to find the parameter value. It returns true if it was found and false if it was not. Then we have to write program code for the linear search function. So scrolling all the way, I think I have it here, line 6. So you see that we have the method header there. So we are taking two parameters, an array and a value. Then we are simply using a for loop to iterate through the array and checking to see if the current number inside of array is equal to the value that was passed. If that's the case, we are returning true on line 9, then otherwise we're just returning false as per the requirements. Then of course you go ahead and copy this code and paste it inside of the evidence document. Moving on to B item 1, rather B item 2, we are to add the main program to allow a user to input an integer value, then pass the value to linear search as the parameter. Then we are also going to output an appropriate message. So coming back to the code, let me scroll down to the main method. So you see that my solution starts on line 30. Right? I'm calling linear search from the main method. So I'm just printing this down in the console so that we know that this is the linear search output. Right? It's not really required. Then of course I'm also using exception handling in the event that a user types in a string instead of a number. We can then tell them that the output is invalid, so we expect them to type in an integer. But otherwise, the logic that we need to satisfy the requirements is inside of this try block. So we are inputting, we are allowing a user to enter an integer to search for, and then we are going to store whatever linear search returns to us inside of this found variable, is it? Because remember, we are passing linear search the array data, that is this array, then the search value that the user typed in as arguments. Then linear search is going to return a Boolean value, which we are going to store inside of found. Then if found is true, then we are going to print this this output, and we are just using f printing, is it? So where you have search value here, you actually have the search value that was typed. Let's say maybe the user typed 16, so you could have 16 there, just as an example. Then in the event that the value, or rather the search item was not found, we're just going to print not found right there. So with that, you can go ahead and copy the code and paste it inside of the evidence document. Then it says that we should test our program with one value that is in the array and one value that is not in the array. So let's go back to the file. I'll just want to click on play button here. Then we need to type an integer to search for. So I know 16 might not be in there. So it says here that 16 was not found in the array. So this is the output that we're just concerned with for now. This is for later on later on as we move on with the question, is it? So we tried with 16, then they said you should also try with something that is inside of the list. So if I click run, the way I went about it was to actually let me just print the list first so that we know what we are working with. And then maybe I can just come here and print array data, just like that. Array data, and then so that we know the user doesn't have to worry about cramming all the values that are memorizing the values that are inside of the array data. So let's just save that and run. Okay, did I click? Yes, clear the screen, then run that script one more time. Right. So we know that these are the values that are inside of the array. So let's go with 21 there. So 21 was found in the array. So of course you'd go ahead and copy the code. Do they want the code inside of the evidence document? Yes, so you should take a screenshot of the output and put it inside of the evidence document. But remember, you're just focusing on this linear search because the bubble sort is for later on. Then going back to the question paper, we have the following. So we are given pseudocode for the bubble sort. It's kind of incomplete, so you need to know bubble sort by heart for you to complete it, but really there's not much going on there. Just need to, if you know how bubble sort works, it's going to be very easy for you to fill in the blanks, as it were. So we have to implement bubble sort in program code. So let's go ahead and do that. The bubble sort algorithm, I have it right there on line 13. So you see that we have bubble sort, right? So essentially we are implementing the bubble sort. Just remember that bubble sort makes use of two loops. The outer loop is for sweeping through the entire list, and the inner loop is for swapping or comparing elements. And in the event that they are not in place, you are simply going to swap them. You can check out my bubble sort animation. I have here on my channel, so that you are well versed with bubble sort algorithm should you not be familiar with bubble sort. But otherwise, it's a simple implementation because you already are given the pseudocode and you're just filling in the blanks. So yeah. Then after doing that, you can go ahead and copy the code and paste it inside of the evidence document. Then yeah, I think that's just about it. Wait, are we not going to call bubble sort anyway? Oh, so that's the end of it. Nice. So that's just about it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. But maybe before I do that, I actually did make use of bubble sort. Did they say we should into descending order? They didn't say that we should call bubble sort here. So just writing the bubble sort algorithm is enough. But what I did was to call bubble sort, right? So that to show you that it actually works. So here I'm just printing bubble sort so that you know that we are now in the bubble sort section of the script, as it were. Then before sorting, we are going to print the array data. Then instead of sorting the array data array, right, or the array data list, I just made a copy by using the copy method of list there, so that I preserve the original order. Then I simply print the outputted, the sorted list, as it were. So that's what I did here. So let me just go ahead and hit play to show you guys what I've going on here. Maybe we can just go with 8. It's going to say it's in the array. So you see that before sorting, we have that going on. Then after sorting in descending order, you see that our numbers are now set in descending order. So the reason why I did this was to test to see if my bubble sort was working. That's the reason why I had included this code, but it's not required in the question. But of course, you can still put it, right? It's and just leave it in there. It won't be an issue because you're not going to copy this code and paste it inside of the evidence document, because there will be no space for you to copy and paste it to. But yeah, that's just about it for this video. Hopefully you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.